All right, what's going on, everybody? So in today's video, I'm going to be going over some tips and tricks for DocuSign, about 7 different quick tips and tricks that you should know if you're using DocuSign, and I'd highly recommend DocuSign. There's a lot of electronic signature type services out there, and I think they're all pretty good, but I definitely think DocuSign is the best. So let me log in and I'll show you in this 10-minute real estate video. Okay, so here we are inside the DocuSign platform, and when you get started, you would just say start now to upload your document and get it signed. So the first little trick I'm going to show you, let me upload a document here real quick. So I just uploaded an example contract, just a PDF. But actually one thing that's cool about DocuSign is you can upload Microsoft Word documents, Excel documents. They have a pretty flexible platform when it comes to that. So you can upload pretty much any type of document out there. So this first trick, this is good if you're like in a rush and you're trying to beat like a 4 p.m. contract deadline. What you do is, you put your information in first. I just put Bob Seller right there. And then you can just CC somebody. So you would be the first person to sign it. So if you don't want to wait for your buyer or seller to sign it and then forward it to the person that needs to get it, you can basically just CC somebody. So instead of saying needs to sign, you can just say receives a copy. So that as soon as the 2 people or first person sign it, the next person just receives a copy automatically. And obviously it's not as formal as like downloading the PDF, sending them an email separately, but it's good if you're in a time crunch. And also what's cool is that DocuSign automatically CCs the people that are actually signing the document. So you can add someone to get CC'd, and then DocuSign will also just automatically send it to the people who sign. Another quick tip you can do is if you have to make an edit on a document, instead of sending a whole new document, they have a pretty easy way of changing a document, and I'll show you right now. So I'll just do... So let's say you have the document and it's filled out and you need to change something. They have over here Markup Tools. So it looks a lot nicer. You can kind of drag this around if you have to cross something out. So if there was like a name right here, you could just kind of cross it out. And then what you would do is you would put initials. Anytime you make a change to the contract, you'd go down and you would put the buyer and the seller's initial. I just have one name in there, but you would make the change, or you can get kind of crazy with it. You can do like a X if you want, and then just put initials, and it looks a lot cleaner than printing it out, scribbling it, or just writing like X's through it. Another little tip and just something to be aware of is that there's an optional field for some of these boxes. So like let's say here's an inspection contingency. If you're sending this to your buyer, let's say you put 7 days in here, 7-day inspection contingency. And you can always increase the size of the font down here. But if you're sending this to your buyer, it can be optional or it can be required. So you want to really make sure that this required field is checked, because I've seen some people submit contracts where they thought they were including an inspection contingency, but it was optional for the other party. And for whatever reason, maybe the other party just missed doing that, and so they left it off. And so they basically submitted a contract without an inspection contingency. So that's something you definitely need to be aware of. Make sure it's required from the buyer or seller. The next tip is when you need to correct a document that you've actually already sent. And I've had to do this actually numerous times before. So let's say you're sending this document and you just completely leave out, you were supposed to sign right here, but you didn't sign right there. So we're just going to go through the steps real quick. So I'm sending it to that person. So let's say I send it and then I'm like, oh crap, I totally forgot to actually send what I needed to send for signatures. What you would do is you go up to Manage, and you would click on Sent, and then here it is. So it's still waiting for it to be signed. So you would obviously need to do it before it's actually signed. And then you'd come here to correct. And you can also do void, delete, save as a template, which actually we'll get into in a second here. But let's say we want to correct it. You just go into it. And obviously, if you need to add a document because you left something out, you can do that. Let's say I just need to make the one change for the signature page. So I would just go down here and put like the signature and date, click next, and then you would just correct it. You would just say correct, and it would resend it. So it's really easy to make changes. Another thing you can do if you need some more customization is you can do the text box, and that's where the person would have to write in basically whatever they're going to write in. So you could just leave it open for them to put in their property address, city, state, zip. Typically, you want to fill out as much information really for both parties as possible, but every now and then you'll have to have the other party, sign some type of customization type of line where maybe it's like, what are their assets or liabilities, or, it could be any number of things. And so you would just leave that custom box right there where they could fill in their information, and you just press next and make sure that it's required. And then they would just type in whatever they want to type in. Some additional things that you can do with DocuSign are you can kind of customize a message. So I'm just setting this without any fields, but when you send the actual document right here, an email message, you can say, hey, Bill, here's the new contract. Let me know if you have any questions. Something like that. You can write whatever you want. And then you can click send. So that makes it pretty cool. It's not like you're just setting some random document for someone to sign. You can give them a little bit of information about what they're actually signing. And another thing to note, sometimes you have contracts that are like 40 or 50 pages long. It might take you like hours. Like if you're in the state of Maryland, sometimes Maryland real estate contracts can literally be like 50 or 60 pages. So it might take you a while to fill out, and you might want to get a head start on it. And what you can do is you can start filling out everything, and then maybe come back to it once your buyer or seller or whoever it is actually ready. So let's say I filled out a bunch of information here, and let's say it's like 95% filled out, but we're still just waiting on some things. What you can do is you can click X. There might be a better way to do this, but this is the only way I know how. And you can do save and close, and it'll just save your contract as a draft. So I'm going to click save and close, and it's going to keep all the data there. And then you can come back in here into drafts, and then it's going to be right there, and you can just open it and start from where you left off. So pretty cool feature there. And then lastly, I'm going to show you how to just create a template. So if you have your standard like purchase agreement or some type of standard agreement, what you can do is you can say save as a template, and then you could call this, purchase contract. And you would probably fill it out a little bit better than this. Like some standards on your contract, you'd always have your name right there. The purchase price and address would always be different numbers. But then you could have the template saved where you would automatically sign it down there, automatically sign it up here. And it's just a little bit easier. And then you could, you would just put in your name, and then you would change it each time for the seller. And you wouldn't do CC, you would do, to, like receives. And you can just do that by clicking edit, and then you can say needs to sign, and then do next. And you can also add, numerous people to the contract. So those are some basic tips and tricks. And if you have any questions about DocuSign, drop them in the comment section below, and I will be sure to respond. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you in the next video.